I won't hold my breath, and best of luck to them if one chooses to stand up. They are enjoying their lowest approval rating ever because this is who they are trying to represent. These far-left activists who don't stand for anything. They only stand against Donald Trump, and they hate, as you just heard from that one individual who wished death upon the president of the United States, they not just hate him, they hate the nearly 80 million Americans who elected to vote him. The Democrats have officially become the party of crazy. President Trump and the Republicans are the party of...
What happens when Joe Rogan unleashes verbal artillery and Karoline Leavitt defeats The View in a legal fight worth $800 million? It's more of a UFC weigh-in than a talk show takedown, with daytime TV roasted like a Thanksgiving turkey. Stay tuned. This isn't just drama, it's a complete reckoning. If you've ever wondered what happens when powerful truth meets unashamed attitude, and Rogan turns rumor into a gladiatorial battle, this is it. Call it poetic justice, Rogan style. Buckle up, things are about to get nasty.
Show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested...
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th. When they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen.
As the decision was delivered, you could almost hear 1,000 coffee cups smashing in slow motion throughout America. Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit against The View was more than just a triumph. It was an annihilation, not your typical Twitter takedown, but a legal wrecking ball that drove through $800 million of irresponsible broadcasting. This was the equivalent of a tactical bomb in the glitzy, gossip-filled world of daytime television.
Of you, when you're on The View, you were running for president. You got introduced as our friend Donald.
You really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend.
Walters gives you a big... And you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working.
Red hat that says "Make America Great Again." Might as well just put a...
The laughing panel handles facts in the same way that cats treat houseplants, only for enjoyment. Every weekday morning, millions watch the panel of hyper-caffeinated experts make vehement remarks about current events, provoking more uproar than a Real Housewives reunion.
I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird, so I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show? If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View. Because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome? No.
Double
the
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one.
But this time, they didn't just cross a line. They donned explosive shoes and danced across a legal minefield. Karoline Leavitt had enough of being portrayed as a cartoon villain and the self-righteous lunchtime swarm. Like always, underestimated her. They didn't just misrepresent the facts. They stretched, twisted, and staged them like a medieval morality play.
Between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing. And I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one...
This was not just defamation camouflaged as jazz hands and studio clapping. It was outright slander. Karoline launched the legal equivalent of a snowstorm on their dazzling PR front. Her instance, a receipt lesson, proved that they did more than simply ignore the facts. They swerved around it like middle schoolers dodging dodgeballs. Instead of 12 enraged jurors, the courtroom resembled a 12-minute episode of karmic television. By the end, the legal team was confused and fatigued. Joe Rogan, the podcast king, emerged from the sidelines, grinning so hard that he almost choked on elk jerky. Rather of disrespecting the panel, he approached it as a professional roast. Rogan did not consider their attacks as political criticism. Rather, he saw them as emotional turmoil added to a group therapy session that had devolved into stupidity.
This was right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said. Yeah. You didn't listen to what the wildlife out, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the other part of what he said was there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And then there's also, listen,
it doesn't make sense to me that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
When you're worried about losing your job and you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. It's just frantic.
Rogan's response was predictable and quite justified. He'd always compared the View's reasoning to a hungover Magic 8 ball, and he'd been on their radar previously, so when Karoline won, he rejoiced like a happy coach. He didn't just reject their authenticity, he lauded her as a truth slayer and demolished their whole edifice. Their talking points, motivated by scorn and Wikipedia arrogance, were steamrolled. Karoline didn't only bruise their egos, she also cost them money, courtroom after courtroom. The View was gradually converted into a cautionary tale thanks to court cases and viral videos. Joe was the chef, planning their doom like a gourmet tragedy.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with the... What was that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just, it's a bizarre show.
So we had 8 minutes, and America's approach to race, pretty big topic, pretty important topic.
I think the way before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant, and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race. The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous, but treat everybody.
Nobody saw Karoline coming because The View ignores facts, nuance, and their own significance. What they believed was an easy target turned out to be a courtroom fire, and Karoline's victory was more than a personal triumph, it was a cultural earthquake. With $800 million in losses, daytime TV's elegant veneer cracked wide open.
I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. You're asking me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe.
Hire a spokesperson just so that Elon Musk doesn't put out tweets that then confuse federal workers.
Are my press briefings not good enough for you, Jackie? John.
Every debate program blurs the boundary between opinion and libel. How many times have we heard that someone is a threat to democracy? Legal teams around the country are reviewing these components. Karoline's case will be their go-to example. Meanwhile, the internet was awash with memes, drawings, and fan edits of the trial, complete with somber violins and Judge Judy's gavel smash. According to one popular article, she turned their discussion into a pay-per-view event, with Joe Rogan acting as the play-by-play announcer. Everything he said felt like a Mortal Kombat finisher. He didn't just laugh at their failure, he detailed it.
Get people thinking, like, if you could stop Hitler by any means necessary, wouldn't you stop Hitler? And so they equate Donald Trump with Hitler and go, here you go, this is our modern Hitler. Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd you say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said it's on.
Karoline, armed with receipts and competent lawyers, launched an $800 million assault against The View, bringing the empire down. The performance became quieter, with no smart comebacks. Lawyers scrambled behind the scenes. Sponsors rushed like the set was on fire. What had previously seemed to be confident analysis now reeked of inflated ego. They had played judge and jury with viral soundbites. Karoline, on the other hand, came to represent media responsibility. In compared to their echo chamber, Joe Rogan suddenly seemed to be the voice of authentic discourse. The View's message, not journalism, simply gossip. In your pantsuit, Karoline didn't just win. She set the standard.